Welcome back, guys. We have got a lineup today on multiple cases that we've been following. Blake Lively's crashing out. I don't know if it's on Instagram stories. I haven't checked her Instagram stories yet, but she is crashing out on the docket and in her PR. We're also going to follow up on Rebel Wilson. So she had another loss in her lawsuit. Well, Amanda Ghost's lawsuit against Rebel Wilson for the smear websites that were made against her. So we're going to look at that because Katie Case, that name probably sounds familiar for those following the Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni case, she had a deposition. The judge in that case allowed a deposition of Katie Case because of text messages that were recovered from Melissa Nathan in the Justin Baldoni Blake Lively trial. And then, in continuing with this crossover event, the Alexander brothers were convicted, I believe, just the other day. I got wrapped up in the Corey Richins case, completely forgot to see what was going on over at the Alexander brothers. They may also sound familiar because we have covered them extensively on the channel for their connection again to smear websites. Yes, the Alexander brothers, who were convicted of sex trafficking amongst a host of other things, had a smear website made for them. Yeah, against the victims. So actually, I think it was the last video I made before I took some time off. We went over a Hollywood Reporter expose that was talking about the Alexander brothers and the impact, the real impact smear websites have on people's lives. So we will revisit the Alexander brothers today and we'll look at them. Oh, we have a lot to talk about today, guys. Lots of smear website adjacent universe crossovers today, but let me know where you are tuning in from. Welcome to the member. Oh my gosh, your puppy's so cute. Welcome to being a YouTube member, guys. I was planning on a members only tomorrow, but we have a showing, or not showing, what's it called when it's open? Open house. There we go. So I'm planning on Sunday to do a members only live. So it'll be really cool to just hang out and catch up on a lot of stuff we haven't talked about on the channel over the last couple of weeks. Hello, good morning, guys. It's so nice to see everyone. Hello. All right, settle in, my friends. We will start with, let's start with the heavy stuff, and then we'll go over into the more Blake Lively crashing out. So let's start heavy. We'll get lighter and lighter as we go. Okay, where should we start with the Alexander brothers? And let me know in the chat if you've been following these cases as we bring them up. It's always nice to know what you guys know and where you are on the journey of these different cases. Okay, let's pull up the Alexander brothers and what they were convicted of. So these are bad dudes, by the way. The Alexander brothers really, they were the A-list team in terms of real estate. There was a woman, Katie Whiteman, who we're going to see when we bring up the smear website. I'll show you guys the smear website for those that are newer to it. And they're sketchy. They're bad men. They're linked to Epstein and the Epstein files. They were the who's who in real estate. And a lot of what's coming out now is they just acted as if the law didn't apply to them all of these years. And the reality is, I mean, as we know, and what I try to expose on this channel is, for people in power, the law very rarely actually applies to them. So they acted as if it didn't all of this time. Well, it finally caught up to them. Katie Whiteman was the first person to come forward, and she died unexpectedly. I think it was December 2025, mere weeks before this trial started. I had on this channel said that I believed, based purely on speculation, because her family has not released the cause of death, that she took her own life due to the repercussions of these men smearing her because they were trying to discredit her. She opened the floodgates to all of these other women coming out. They have a host of other lawsuits against them. I can't remember the woman's name from $1 Million Listing, but she's accusing them of assault as well. Katie opened the gate. And she passed away mysteriously. She was healthy. She passed away mysteriously just weeks before this trial started. So she was actually never given her day in court. She was never able to share her story. And that right there is why I am against these smear websites, regardless of who makes them. I have told you guys from the beginning, I am not a Melissa Nathan stan. I am not a Brian Freeman stan. I am not a stan of anyone. I believe Justin and I stand with Justin unless and until there is a day where actual real evidence, which we know is not going to come out, but unless and until the day real evidence comes out about Justin Baldoni, which I do not believe it will, I am not a stan on anyone else on his team. And in fact, I have been very vocal about how much I dislike the tools and the tactics that Melissa Nathan and Jed Wallace use. Now, before we get actually too far into this, I'm going to say a couple of things because we are covering two cases today that have continued to get me smeared and defamed by a large content creator. Okay. And all I'm going to say about this is I come to my own opinions, not in opposition to anyone else. And I will continue to expose the filth in Hollywood. I will continue to expose the filth in the PR industry. Even if someone's crashing out, trying to accuse me of being part of a cult, trying to accuse me of not actually working in the very industry I work in and have experience in, even if someone continues to crash out because they clearly feel threatened that someone else has a differing opinion than them, I am going to continue to expose things. And this YouTube channel is not a place to smear victims. Full stop. I will defend victims the same way I will defend Justin Baldoni because I believe he is a victim. And I'm not ashamed to say that I believed Blake in the beginning. And I'm not ashamed to say, as someone that worked in the mental health industry, as someone that worked in a women's shelter, I am not going to say that I'm ashamed that I will err on the side of believing victims in the beginning. But I will not be bullied out of covering cases I'm passionate about. I will not be bullied by other content creators who continue to defame me, because I have a different opinion than them. And her sending her little minions over here to smear the victims, that is not what this YouTube channel is for. And I will not put up with it. Just like I wouldn't put up with someone coming over here and attacking Justin Baldoni. I'm open to discussion. I'm open to constructive conversation, but it's not a game I'm playing. And it's not a game I signed up for when I started to use this platform for exposing what's going on in Hollywood. So I will not be bullied out of not talking about Melissa Nathan. I will not be bullied about not talking about the Alexander brothers and their smear website. I will not be bullied out of talking about Rebel Wilson and Amanda Ghost. And if someone continues to have a problem with me, like an adult, she can come to me and talk to me about those problems, or she can just continue to do what she does. But I just want to make it very clear for anyone watching that I will not be bullied out of talking about things I'm passionate about. This channel is to expose the filth that goes on and the cover-ups that happen for it. And I'm going to continue to do that. So with that said, let's get into two cases that continue to get me smeared online. Let's ride. Okay, Alexander brothers convicted of sex trafficking in Manhattan federal court. And I am just, I don't even know the word. I don't have a word for it. Seeing some of the comments that have been since blocked from my previous video of people defending the Alexander brothers. Because I don't believe victims anymore. Or, well, that smear website, there must have been something behind it for the victim. Like, what? Sickening. So luckily the jury stood on business and were like, we do not put up with this shit and you're going to jail. So the Alexander brothers convicted of sex trafficking. Let's make that a little bit bigger for you guys. In Manhattan federal court. So they were including two of the nation's most successful luxury real estate brokers. So the three brothers were convicted of sex trafficking Monday after a 5-week trial. Again, one of the victims mysteriously died right before. I don't think it was nefarious. Shit, who knows in the world we live in. But I don't think it was nefarious. There's no foul play that's suspected. I believe personally, as well as the Hollywood Reporter and people that knew her, were adjacent to her, that she took her own life due to the smear website, which is why I'm so passionate about ending the bullshit in Hollywood and in the PR industry. Guys, this has real repercussions. real repercussions. We're going to look at it briefly again. These smear websites ruin people's lives to the point where potentially someone took their life over it. These guys were attacking victims. And now we don't have to say alleged victims because they were just convicted of it. So, 5-week trial, they were accused of drugging and raping scores of women they had dazzled with their wealth and opulent lifestyles. The verdict came after 11 women testified in Manhattan federal court. They were sexually assaulted by one or more of the brothers. I'm not even going to say their names because it just makes me sick to my stomach. Set sentencing for August 6th. The brothers jailed since their 2024 arrest will appeal the verdict. Yeah, of course they will. Pieces of shit always do. Can't take Tundi, you're going to knock over my whole setup. Can't take responsibility for their actions, of course. So lawyers say they believe their clients. Yeah, that's fine. So dozens of women say they were drugged and assaulted. So the verdict represents a spectacular fall from grace for them, once known as real estate's A-team, for their high-ticket sales and celebrity clientele. And again, they are also connected to Epstein. So let's not forget their connection to Epstein. The victims testified that they met the brothers at nightclubs, parties, and on dating apps and were attacked after accepting their invitation to all expense-paid getaways to the Hamptons, Aspen, Colorado, and a Caribbean cruise. So part of the smear website that the brothers created against the victims was like, they were escorts, and started smearing across the internet that the victims were escorts. And so I don't know what, as an extension of that, what they deserved it, even if they were. But that happened shortly before, just so tragic. Young woman passed away. In addition to the top charge, which was sex trafficking, they're also convicted of sex trafficking of a minor. Yeah. Convicted of aggravated sexual abuse by force or intoxicant and sexual abuse of a physically incapacitated person. And one of the brothers was also convicted of sexually exploiting a minor after prosecutors showed the jury a photo he recorded of himself appearing to assault a drugged 17-year-old. I hope anyone that is watching this and defended these monsters on my last video feels good about yourself. Just all in the name of, defending a content creator you liked or Melissa Nathan. I hope that feels good. Sickening. So besides the criminal case, the brothers have faced about 24 lawsuits over the last 2 years, including one filed last week in which Tracy Tudor, a star of Bravo's $1 Million Listing Los Angeles, alleges that Oren, one of the brothers, drugged and assaulted her while she was in New York City for a real estate event. When the first of the lawsuits were filed, multiple women came forward claiming that they had been assaulted and that the brothers' misconduct had been an open secret in the real estate world. That's what I said. They were acting as if there was no justice that could be done for them. And they got pretty damn close to that. If it hadn't been for Kate Whiteman, who didn't even have her day in court because she mysteriously passed away mere weeks before this shit started. And I'm fired up about this, guys, but I worked at a women's shelter. I worked at group homes. I worked in the mental health industry. And I believe in believing victims. And I also believe in believing facts. Blake Lively, I believed her in the beginning until it was very clearly shown that she's a lying liar that lies and was manipulating the Me Too movement, was manipulating the system and the media to her own means and ends. But I genuinely feel sick to my stomach that people were attacking the victims on some of my videos. All right, so women came forward after Kate, saying that they had been assaulted and that the brothers' misconduct had been an open secret. The government took notice and opened a criminal case. During the trial, many women who testified said they believed the brothers had spiked their drinks. Some described feeling like they'd lost control of their bodies. Okay, so this is it's horrific. Let's hop over because I don't just in the name of the victims, I just want to review some of this stuff really quick, and just to help expose them, honestly. That's the whole point of this channel. That is literally the whole point of this channel. I've never, if I'm going to be completely honest with you guys, I've always been the black sheep. Like, even when I was in the social work field, I left the social work field, I left the mental health field because I was always the black sheep, and you know, I got tired of it, so I started my own business. That's actually when I started to get burned out from that field. That's how I got interested in branding, marketing, PR, the psychology of it. But, you know, it's I've been in this industry, and I want this platform from my experience in that industry, my experience in branding, marketing, PR, to be used for good. And it's not going to make me the most popular. It's not going to buy me brownie points, because what buys you the most brownie points is going with tribalism. That's just the reality. That's the psychology of building anything, especially a YouTube channel and a commentary channel. You lean into tribalism, you're going to grow very quick. But this channel, at the end of the day, and guys, it's not going to hurt my feelings if you're like, this isn't for me, I don't care about media manipulation, I'm going to opt out. This channel, at the end of the day, I am a dog with a bone when it comes to something that I feel passionate about, and exposing men like this is something I'm passionate about. Being a voice in what little way I can for Kate Whiteman is something I'm passionate about. And that might make me unpopular. That might mean people don't like me, and that's totally cool. Is tribalism similar to pack mentality? It definitely creates pack mentality. Absolutely. 100%. Yeah. Thank you for asking that question. Preach, girl. I, as well as others, value your integrity and what you choose to comment on and cover. Thank you. Some content creators can kick rocks with their bullshit content. I try very hard, and I get very passionate about things because of my experience. And I think when people understand my experience and the trajectory of my career and the trajectory of my life, it gives a glimpse into why I'm so passionate about things and why they smear websites and the implications of them on the mental health of the victims is just, it's something I won't stop exposing. I don't agree with it. I just don't agree with it. So this was the article that came out, and I covered it just before, I think it was just before I took a break. It really had nothing to do with people pushing back. I'm used to that. But it was February 11th, inside the secret smear machine that's targeting Hollywood. So of course, and you know, the reality is, and let's just be honest, this article did include Blake and Justin in the H2 headline. So this big headline is going to be your H1. The second one's going to be your H2. When we're looking at like the little AI bots that are looking for SEO, those are your two biggest heavy hitters. You want the H1 and the H2 to be SEO rich. So yes, they're going to mention Blake and Justin in it. It's just the reality. Not a huge fan. I'll say Blake versus Baldoni, but I think Baldoni rather than Justin, yeah, whatever. But I wasn't a huge fan of that. But they say a shadowy network of anonymous smear sites or slander sites, is attacking players in high-profile entertainment scandals, from Blake and Baldoni to a Rebel Wilson film fiasco to an ugly K-pop feud. Critics allege they're all the handiwork of a small circle of operatives. So they go into a lot here. I've read this in full in the past. I'm not going to read it again. But essentially, they talk about Alexa Nicholas, and one that was made against her. And I don't know exactly where on here, but they do interview victims of the Alexander brothers as well. So it says here in December, oh, geez, sorry, guys. All right. In December, Jones' legal team asserted in a proposed amended complaint that as it investigated the culprit behind the website, the anonymous, what was it? Stephanie Jones is a liar, I think it was. We've also covered that here, that were made about her. It had discovered a growing list of attack websites from the same band of conspirators, alleging Nathan, her hired gun, Jed Wallace, and others engage in a regular practice of creating highly offensive and negative online content against individuals. On top of this, there are text messages between Katie Case and Melissa Nathan that allude to the Alexander brothers websites. Whether Melissa actually did them or not, I mean, it's hard to, and I compared all of them on my previous video. It's hard to deny that the copywriting is exactly the same, that the format is exactly the same. I even made a joke that it looks like what I do because I'm lazy. Even us like copywriters are lazy. When I'm being exceptionally lazy with my own website and I need to create a new landing page, I go copy. And you get the same format and you can change a couple colors, change a couple pictures, but it's the exact same format essentially. It looks like that's what they've done with these smear websites. So I talked about on the previous one. So what they're essentially linking here in this article by the Hollywood Reporter is Melissa and Jed to all of these smear websites that have been created. The digital footprints there, guys. I've done videos where the SEO digital footprint, I can't link it back to Melissa Nathan, specifically the digital footprint, but in the videos in the past, what I've shown is SEO fingerprints where wiki pages, like junk wiki pages were created. And a friend of mine, Chris, 911PR, I believe is his handle over on TikTok, a friend of mine had found this as well. But these digital fingerprints that were connected to the same person that was creating pro Jed Wallace SEO were also creating the Alexander Brothers websites, allegedly. But I mean, it's there in the videos. Funny enough, which is really interesting, a lot of that's been cleaned up. I went back to some of those links from the past that I had shown on my YouTube channel. So you can see the steps I went through to find them. A lot of that shit's been cleaned up. You don't clean shit up if you have nothing to hide. So pro Alexander Brothers exposed smear websites were also the same accounts that were creating pro Jed Wallace to pump up SEO for Jed Wallace and street relations. And we're talking about like hundreds of all these junk wiki sites. So they're talking about these two here. So they create these highly offensive and negative online content against individuals. You know, I had a content creator message me, and I won't say who it is, we're friends, and say, Ash, like, what is it with Melissa? And I said, you know, I can't also say everything I know. And I don't say that to be an ass. And I don't say that to be like, oh, I've got some like insider thing. I say it because I can't, like, sometimes I am convicted on something and I am like doubling down on something because I do know something behind the scenes. And it's either not my place to say it or I am ultimately bound by NDAs, you know? And it's just the reality of the situation. But there's also someone that has been going back and forth whether to, and she did kind of a little bit on her Twitter, I'm not going to name her here, expose Melissa in some ways without overtly, but did. Someone that's going back and forth about what to say and what to come forward with. So there's a lot of things that, and I don't ever want anyone to be like, yeah, I just trust Ashley because I trust Ashley. Do your own research. Just think critically about it, guys. Like, that's all I ask, is to think critically without the tribalism, without like, I'm going to die for someone simply because they're adjacent to Justin Baldoni. I believe Justin is innocent. And I've said from the beginning, I'm a stan for him in many ways. I don't even know what really a stan is, if I'm being honest. I'm so old, I don't really know what a stan is. But if I had to be like stan someone, I would stan Justin Baldoni, Steve Sarwitz, and Jamie Heath. Not for, I probably will never stand PR people. I will probably never stand a PR person because I know the shit that goes on. So anyway, getting back to this, it says here, the smear sites have alleged without substantiation that targets engaged in, among other activities, extortion, embezzlement, prostitution, drug dealing, and human trafficking. So this is specific to the Alexander Brothers one. So the Alexander Brothers, and I'll show it briefly for you guys that are just catching up and you're like, I can't watch 20 hours of your content. Totally cool. I get it. Their website was alleging embezzlement, prostitution, drug dealing, human trafficking. The Alexander Brothers and allegedly Jed and Melissa, we're even dragging the victims' families into it. It was pretty bad. I've also realized I'm saying a lot. Got to kick that in the butt. All right. Talks about Lively a bit. So Ghost has sued Rebel Wilson as well. We're going to get to that one, as well as Melissa Nathan. So Amanda Ghost had and they're talking about this article in the Hollywood Reporter is all about all these smear websites, talking about how Rebel Wilson and Amanda Ghost are locked in a lawsuit. Amanda Ghost had a Doe lawsuit open, trying to figure out who created those websites. Text messages exposed it. But anyway, long story short, with what this article goes into, it also talks about the repercussions of these types of websites and how, again, it's such a long article, I don't know exactly where they talk about it, how the victims they speak to in regards to the Alexander brothers believe that Kate Whiteman had potentially harmed herself due to how this has impacted her life, how these smear websites have impacted her life. And that's just something I simply ask everyone to keep in mind. You know, it's not just about Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively. There's so much going on with these smear websites and the lives impacted. That's all I ask, is to keep an open mind. And we'll pull up theirs. So this is the Alexander Brothers Extorted website. It's since been taken down. You have to go in the Wayback Machine to find it. And again, it's basically copy paste. I saw a comment earlier. Could they be that lazy? Where is it? Would they be that lazy? Oh, yeah. We're all that lazy. We're all that lazy. Yeah, honestly, copy paste and gives you the format, and you don't have to build the landing page from scratch. You would be surprised. If you've never built a landing page, you would be surprised how much actually goes into building it out, especially from scratch. So it actually saves you a lot of time. This is the Alexander Brothers Exposed. Wow, I never thought that I would ever be in this position, but here I am. And all of the smear websites, one of the distinctive features of them, and the fingerprint, I believe, is all this, I'm just, either a friend or a victim. I'm just adjacent to this, and I just have to get this off my chest. It's very similar to what I've said in regards to how, for example, Andrew Colvett was rebranded the best friend in the post-assassination media blitz. It's going to feel more real and raw when you go, oh my gosh, this is just like a do-gooder that wants to expose these women as prostitutes and users and extortionists. Oh my gosh. A lot different than the Alexander brothers if they made a website themselves and they go, these bitches be crazy and they're trying to extort me. This comes across a lot more. See, it even says here, I don't have a dog in this fight, but I am directly connected to one of the individuals responsible for this and other similar takedown efforts to destroy the lives of Tal, Ornan, Alon, Alexander, or Alon in exchange for money, success, and frankly put, this individual and those behind it are sinister. That sinister word comes up a lot as well in, I think it's Alexa Nichols or Nicholas. I don't know her personally, and I apologize for saying her name wrong. Sinister is another word that is imprinted across a lot of these websites. So they keep saying, I don't have a dog in this fight. Below is a raw and purposefully blank diagram of the players involved. I'll start by adding names and agendas for each as we go, but this is a lot, so be patient. At the end of this, you're going to have an elaborate breakdown of one of the most widespread, corrupt, and expensive takedowns you've ever seen. Well, a jury disagreed. A jury disagreed because a jury convicted their asses, rightfully so. So you go down here, crime bosses and conspiracy leaders. It's so dramatic. There's Kate. So the conspirators, they list all the victims as conspirators. So if you click on their name, it brings you down here. So Kate Whiteman, who again is the woman that passed away mysteriously. Kate Whiteman was a sex worker, they're claiming, with a history of financial troubles, evictions, defaults, and was even sued by American Express. After overstaying her visa in the US, she had to return to Australia. The first individual to file a suit, Kate and Rebecca have mirrored money asks at $50 million. Their motivation is very clearly a money grab. She was no longer here to testify. So this is just an example of one of the smear websites. Long story short, the Hollywood Reporter did that expose connecting Jed and Melissa, but I would say multiple content creators have connected them through SEO and through the text messages that have come out. But the Alexander brothers are, in my opinion, exactly where they deserve to be. And the loss of Kate, in my opinion, is a reason why no matter what side of the aisle you are on, whether you are pro-Justin, pro-Blake, I don't care what side of the aisle you're on, we should all be against these smear websites. We should all want whoever Even if you don't believe at this point, you're like, I'm still on the fence. I don't know if it's Melissa and Jed. Cool, that's fine. We should still all be advocating to get to whoever is doing this and take it down and stop it. This shit isn't accepted in the industry. It's what's called black hat SEO, and it's not accepted practice. Not saying they are the only ones that do it, but shit, the websites that we're able to find so far seem to link back to them allegedly. But we should all want this to end because there's real implications on people's lives when you start smearing them like this. And I genuinely believe we should have an issue with anyone that's smearing someone. I just don't think this is the way to go about PR, is to accuse women of being prostitutes and extortionists in defense of men that are on the Epstein list, are sex traffickers, have drugged underage girls to have sex with them. There's video proof of it. Like, that's a between you and Jesus situation if you're defending the Alexander brothers because, you know, you don't want to go against Melissa Nathan. That's a Jesus thing. That might be a like white pearly gates thing at the end of your life, in my opinion. My opinion only. All right, with that, let's move over to, it's a short update, but continuing on with the impact of smear websites and how people are saying enough is enough with smear websites, let's move right on over to Rebel Wilson. So, Tendi, you're knocking my stuff over. My dog is lying on top of all of my equipment. And his feet are on top of everything. So y'all might crash any minute. All right, so let's look at Rebel Wilson. She denied that she knew anything about smear websites. She actually used very similar verbiage to what Melissa Nathan used in her deposition. She was like, I don't even know how to build a website. Couldn't have been me. This is so ridiculous. So that was Rebel Wilson. And she said, oh, Melissa Nathan didn't work for me. She worked for my lawyer at the time, and basically threw Melissa Nathan and Brian Friedman under the bus to distance herself from the smear websites that were made against Amanda Ghost. Amanda Ghost and Rebel Wilson have been locked in crazy lawsuits over The Deb, which is a movie. There's multiple lawsuits in Australia over this against Rebel Wilson. And then there's the LA Superior Court lawsuit with Amanda Ghost against Rebel Wilson. So Rebel had countered Amanda Ghost, and the judge like basically threw it all out. It's like, yeah, no. And called her out for it being like basically egregious to go after Amanda Ghost for what she did. So let's pull up the update over here. And this case is wild as well. And in the Melissa and Jed theme day, tying back to Melissa, Rebel Wilson wants one of those sites. PR's testimony reveals alleged smear campaign. A-list actress is defending claims she wanted smear websites launched about a British movie producer she fell out with while filming the movie The Deb. I've said from the beginning, Rebel Wilson feels like a Blake Lively in this. I said that's my initial thoughts. I reserve the right to change them. My thoughts have not been changed in following these lawsuits. And that statement alone is what apparently deserves for me to be smeared across the internet and people told I'm in a cult. But my opinion, which I am allowed to have without being smeared for it, is that Rebel Wilson is the Blake Lively here. And it seems like the judge agrees because the judge threw out her shit and was like, girl, no, this is egregious. How dare you, basically. Now, what happened to catch everyone up in regards to this lawsuit is Amanda Ghost, like I mentioned earlier, filed a Doe lawsuit. And in the Doe lawsuit, she was basically trying to figure out who created the smear websites. So there was, what's the term? I can't think of it off the top of my head. Crap. But it's black hat SEO, and it's like basically squatting on a website domain. So these people that made the smear websites squatted on literally amandaghost.com, and I think it was amandaghostsucks.com. Very similar names to the Stephanie Jones ones, very similar names to all the other smear websites. It's very specific verbiage that they're using. And then in the text messages that came out from Melissa Nathan in the Justin Baldoni Blake Lively discovery process, Rebel Wilson Wants One of Those Sites came out. And it was between Melissa Nathan and Katie Case. Rebels, again, denied any of it, but Amanda Ghost updated her lawsuit, put Melissa Nathan as one of the does. They're also trying to prove at this point that Jed Wallace is another one of the does, because in the text messages between Katie and Melissa, they say, like, here's the file from Jed, just Jed. So they're also trying to get to, is Jed involved in any way, so that they can add him as one of the does in the lawsuit. The judge agreed with Amanda Ghost and opened up discovery again, opened up depositions, and said, you can depose Katie Case. Turns out Katie Case had her day in deposition. I was going to say day in court, but it wasn't really court. Deposition. So if this article came out, a former publicist for Rebel Wilson admitted to helping create an attack website for the Pitch Perfect star that went after producer the actress was feuding with, according to documents filed in U.S. court. So excerpts have come out, and it looks like Katie Case has said, yup, that's what we did. Wait, which cult? The fucking human design cult. I mean, talk about digging the bottom of a fucking barrel when someone enjoying human design means they're part of a cult. I mean, it's just, guys, I'm so scandalous. I'm so scandalous and so controversial that because I like human design, I'm part of a cult. It's so fucking ridiculous. People need hobbies. People need like chickens or something. They'll keep you busy enough. Miss Wilson is facing multiple defamation cases, words are hard today, brought against her in Australia and the US for allegedly ruining the reputations of 25-year-old West Australian actress Charlotte McInnes and a British movie producer named Amanda Ghost. Since July 2024, Miss Ghost has pursued Miss Wilson in US courts on the basis she defamed her by accusing her on Instagram of inappropriate behavior and embezzling funds during the filming of the yet-to-be-released The Dead movie in Australia. Disputes over who was behind the website. Documents. Here's Catherine Case, Miss Katie Case. Documents tendered in a California district court before Justice Thomas Long show Catherine Case, Katie Case, a PR vice president for US-based The Agency Group, suggested Miss Wilson was allegedly behind a scheme to create websites to smear Miss Ghost. Miss Wilson has launched, I really wish, LA Superior Court is, not free. I really wish this was on Court Listener. Miss Wilson has launched a cross complaint against Miss Ghost for breach of contract and fraud in a wild legal dispute that now spans multiple complaints, defendants, countries, and courts. All right, let's go down here. Yes, AmandaGhost.com and Amanda Ghost Sucks were the websites. And a March 5th legal deposition given to Samuel Moniz, a lawyer for Miss Ghost, before the U.S. court. Camille Vasquez is also one of the lawyers and a fierce advocate against these smear websites, and she's a lawyer for Amanda Ghost. So you'll see Camille Vasquez's name come up quite frequently in this case. She's becoming quite vocal against these smear websites. It says here, Miss Case agrees that her boss at the public relations group, Melissa Nathan, told her, Rebel wants one of those sites, to which Miss Case replies, okay. So they're basically confirming, right? They're just trying to get confirmation about the text chain that went on that we've all seen in the Blake Lively case. Should be a mixture of that document that I think Carolina pulled about Amanda Ghost, or the intern pulled the voice note and this. And this is also, I think, where she says the Jed piece. That might have been redacted out. I haven't seen the official. We've gone over a lot of the official court documents. I haven't pulled these ones. They're not up on the website that I get them from for much cheaper than LA Superior Court. In the deposition, Miss Case then agrees. Miss Nathan then sent her a Word document titled Amanda Ghost website.doc. I don't know, Melissa Nathan. We can all see it in black and white in the text messages. It's not even a matter of take Katie Case's word for it. We can all see it in black and white in the text messages. I don't know how you say, no, I didn't do that, when there's literally a document entitled Amanda Ghost website.doc. But, Later, Miss Case agrees. She sent an edited version of the Word document back to Miss Case. Agrees. She sent an edited version back. I feel like that's a typo, which reads, this website is dedicated to telling the world the truth about Amanda Ghost, who has maliciously tried to destroy lives of countless artists. She is the Indian Ghislaine Maxwell, whose only friend in the world appears to be a convicted felon, Boy George. So anyway, long story short, Miss Wilson, Rebel Wilson, denies the claims. Katie Case is backing up and confirming the text messages that we all saw. And I don't know. I think it's going to get messy because Melissa has been added as one of the names in the Doe lawsuit. And it'll be interesting to see if Jed Wallace gets added now from Katie Case's deposition. It'll be really interesting because Amanda Ghost is trying to connect the dots that Jed in the text messages is in fact Jed Wallace's street relations and not some rando Jed. Says here, Miss Wilson has vehemently denied being behind the two alleged smear websites that targeted Miss Ghost. In her heavily redacted testimony submitted to the U.S. court, a party appearing to be Miss Nathan seemingly supports her position and denies that Miss Wilson wanted the websites produced or that was the logical inference from the messages she sent to her junior Miss Case. I'm going to be honest, guys. Like, I don't know how you didn't, like, no, don't believe your eyes. Do not believe the text messages that you see. I genuinely don't understand how, but you know, probably smarter than just coming out and being like, yeah, totes. Totally did that. Totally sent that out. I don't think that's a great defense, probably. Miss Wilson has also accused Miss Ghost's UK film company of deliberately sabotaging the release of the Deb and an outcome that has caused her reputational and financial damage. I'm going to be, so the interesting piece for this, and I don't want to get too down this rabbit hole because we have gone over it. But the one thing that stands out for me is this whole like financial embezzlement thing that Rebel Wilson is accusing Amanda Ghost of. It's interesting because when you look at the timeline that I can see and that my brain seems to put the pieces together of, it appears to me that Rebel Wilson was left out of discussions on the allocation of funds or increase in expenditures allowed for certain departments. And Rebel Wilson's department did not get any increase in funds, and Rebel Wilson was left out of the conversation. And I think, I can't remember, and I don't want to misspeak, but Rebel Wilson had some role on that set as well, other than just actress. And then all of a sudden, there's this whole embezzlement thing. And the whole embezzlement thing is based off of this email that Rebel Wilson wasn't included in. Yes, thank you. Yeah, I'm glitching so hard I can't even speak. I'm glitching. I am glitching over all of this. I'm definitely glitching. And that's when all of a sudden there was all these accusations of embezzlement. Hey, I'm not claiming that I know absolutely everything that happened on the Deb. I don't even have a side in this in regards to what happened on the set. To me, based on what I've seen, Rebel Wilson seems like a Blake Lively. And I've had a lot of people reach out from Australia and be like, I'm not even surprised about this. And I can't believe it finally caught up with her. I've never been a Rebel Wilson fan. And once again, in regards to these websites, I will never agree with them. You should not be able to make accusations that someone is the Indian Ghislaine Maxwell. That is not okay. You should not be able to do that and get away with it. And what we're kind of starting to see, there's one thing in PR with a spin. There's always going to be a spin to things. Just like at the end of the day, lawyers, right? You're going to spin things. If you're a defense lawyer, to make your client look a little less guilty, you're going to spin the walk the dog letter to make it look like Corey Richards is just telling the truth, not coaching witnesses, not putting a narrative out there for which witnesses. You're going to spin things, right? PR does that. And guys, the reality is, and as horrible as it is to say, yeah, shit gets made up. Shit gets made up and put on these smear websites and people's lives get destroyed. And that is also the reality of it. And it's very hard to pin down these people because they also use a lot of these websites. When you look into them, it's like Proton Mail that are connected to them. Well, good fucking luck connecting back the person that created these smear websites based on Proton Mail, because they've already spoken out and said that they won't give up identities of people unless like literally forced to by governmental agencies. So good luck tracing it back. And that's why it was so significant when we were able to find these SEO fingerprints that were linked to both Jed Wallace and the Alexander brothers. Because you don't, I mean, it was an oversight, which is in the process of being cleaned up and is being cleaned up. But you really don't get that kind of smoking gun. You really don't get the kind of smoking gun where Melissa's just texting everything about everyone she's working with to Katie Case. And that gets exposed on the stage that it did in the Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni case, also exposing, and kind of that was like the first domino for all of these smear websites. The Richens case is so wild. Yesterday, after the whole, the drama of it all, and then they're just like, we rest. I'm sorry, what? Like the judge was glitching. Everyone was glitching. Pardon, what? 1 minute you're saying, yeah, literally, guys, for those not following the case, 1 minute they're saying, oh, that's a good point too. She was not a junior. She was a VP. Good point as well. 1 minute they're saying, yeah, we have witnesses ready to go. And then one of the other lawyers is like whispering. And they're like, actually, we rest. That was a wild, wild case. So this is what's going on with the smear websites for Rebel Wilson and Amanda Ghost. I'm going to keep following it. I want to see what comes out of it. I want to see what else is posted in regards to Katie's testimony, if Jed's added. But it looks like, another one's kind of biting the dust in regards to the smear websites. Next, Blakey Poo. I've got to say, guys, the funniest part of all of this to me, and it's so deserving for Blake, the funniest part of this is Blake has exposed all of these smear websites while not ever being able to provide proof she had one against her. That is the funniest. Like, talk about karma. Talk about karma. Like, the universe in some way was righting wrongs that were made against people. The universe in some way was exposing the nefarious shit that's been going on. I mean, for anyone into astrology, call it Pluto in Aquarius, if you will. Call it Neptune entering Aries, if you will. But there's, some astrology to support what the fuck's going on in the headlines these days. But the universe was righting a wrong. And in righting that wrong, it was also like, girl, no one had to do a smear website against you. You smeared yourself. In righting the wrongs in the world, it exposed to Blake Lively, who very clearly still is incapable of accepting this. It exposed that Blake did such a great job of smearing herself that no one had a need to do it. Not that I think Justin would have done it regardless, but there was no need to do it. I think this is the funniest part of this whole thing, honestly. Blake's only talent is smearing herself. Yeah. Oh my gosh, the defense attorney was so disrespectful. Yeah, she's guilty. I don't give a fuck. I agree. Solve Corey Richens, guys. Let me know in the chat if you guys have been following it. What a crazy case. I was going to stream if she testified, but unfortunately it's all done. We might have to stream her defense's closing though. Because they're all batshit. Yeah, keep going, universe. Keep going. Let's expose all the rot. Whether we want to say it's, the age of Aquarius and Pluto, Neptune entering Aries. I'm an astrology girl. I love facts. I love logic, but I also love astrology. So Blakey's in her fuck around and find out era. And she's finding out. She's finding out that she is so hated that there was no need for any kind of website against her. And I think that's just chef's kiss. I don't think she'll ever actually admit it, but there it is. Okay. So she filed this, Blakey Poo. And tell me you're panicking without telling me you're panicking. And what was it? Not even 2 days ago, we said, I expect a PR blitz from Blake, but I was like, I don't know what she's really going to do for it. Well, apparently this is what she's going to do for it. But she's panicking. And I think this just proves how much she's panicking. Dear Judge Lyman, plaintiff Blake Lively respectfully, I don't think Blake's ever done anything respectfully in her life, submits this letter to provide notice of the Second Circuit's recent decision in Miller versus Lamanna, and it posts a bunch of numbers, which compels the denial of defendant's motion for judgment on the pleadings. In Miller, the Second Circuit held that the district court had committed procedural error and abused its discretion when, after discovery and at summary judgment stage, it dismissed the plaintiff's claims by applying Rule 12b-6, standard to the plaintiff's operative complaint, rather than reviewing the evidence adduced in the summary judgment record. Don't dismiss it. To me, and whatever, I'm not a lawyer. What the fuck do I know about law? But just me giving commentary on this and giving my opinion on this. Let me know what you guys think, but do you think this shows that Blake's a little worried everything's going to get dismissed? Do you think so? I think so. And as the Second Circuit elaborated, even if the allegations in the complaint were insufficiently detailed to survive a motion to dismiss, had such a motion been made before discovery, if the evidence collected in discovery raised triable issues of fact, it would have been appropriate for the plaintiff to amend his complaint to conform to the evidence thus collected. Oh, fuck, Blake. Dismissing the complaint at that stage where the evidence adduced in discovery may have been sufficient to survive a summary judgment motion would hardly serve the efficient or just resolution of disputes, which is the very foundation of the federal rules. The law does not, oh God, Ashley, try and read legal language when I came in articulate today. The law does not evince over concern, especially at later stages of a case, with reverting to the original pleadings when the actual evidence is sufficient to establish a claim or defense later on. As Ms. Lively explained in her opposition to defendant's motion for judgment on the pleadings, the second amended complaint alleges more than enough facts to survive defendant's motion. See, I don't think you believe that, or else you wouldn't be like the 11th hour throwing this shit in, which clearly shows you're panicking. Oh God, this is going to scramble the brains of those that think because I expose Blake, or because I expose the smear websites and Melissa Nathan, that I'm paid by Blake. How are they going to reconcile the fact that now I'm trashing Blake later in the same video? Oh man, it's going to be a tough one. So as Ms. Lively also argued, the motion for judgment on the pleadings is directed at the wrong question, because at this stage of the case, Ms. Lively's claims must be evaluated based on the evidence amassed in the summary judgment record. What evidence? Number 834 at 3, Miller thus confirms that defendant's motion for judgment on the pleadings must be denied, that it would be appropriate to deem the complaint amended to conform to the summary judgment evidence, and that Ms. Lively's claims must be assessed on the basis of that evidence. Michael/Matthew Gottlieb. Inside joke if you've been around. So not only that, but of course, the media's ready to go, right? Blakey Poo's got the media on lock. They knew it was coming very obviously, because this was submitted at like what time? Tendy, stop knocking my stuff over. Yesterday. And then when were these? Yeah, 13 hours ago. I mean, immediately these articles were ready to go. Leading with People, of course, leading with People. Blakey wants to be like Taylor, so she's got to go to People first. It's got to be her place to go. Blake Lively defends jury trial request in Justin Baldoni case as May trial date looms. Blake Lively is pointing to a new federal appeals court ruling as she pushes back against Justin Baldoni's efforts to have her claims dismissed ahead of their upcoming trial. This was legit. This was March 12th at 9:20 p.m. That's not coincidence. Might as well have exclusive plastered across it. That is not a coincidence. She's so obvious. Although I didn't call this, but I did say she'd be on some kind of PR blitz. Blake Lively is urging a judge to reject Justin Baldwin's latest effort to dismiss her claims as their legal battle over It Ends With Us continues to move towards trial. Like, they make it seem like he has to keep trying. This is the part of the trial or part of the process before trial where you would do this. You got to love the verbiage they use of like, he keeps trying and failing is pretty much what they're saying here. And it really irritates me. In a letter filed Thursday to Judge Louis Lyman in the U.S. District Court of the Southern District of New York, Lively's lawyers pointed to a recent federal appeals court ruling they say supports keeping her lawsuit alive. If you have evidence that support, like, if you have evidence to support your lawsuit staying alive, why don't you just use that rather than a last-ditch effort based on this appeals court? Hello, MDR. It's so nice to see you. Thank you for the support. I think Blake Lively wants this to be dismissed to avoid court, but the Blake Lively, Ashley Avion, Taylor Swift, Stephanie Jones is still out there. Oh, how are the animals? Oh, well, thank you for asking. Yeah, it's so, I can't see how court is going to go well for her. The only PR advantage I would say Blake has through going forward with court, I mean, she could play it either way, right? So if this all gets dismissed, she's going to play the angle, and I can nearly guarantee, and I'm sure you guys all know where I'm about to go with this. She's going to play the angle of, poor me, this is what happens to women. We're not believed. Well, girl, the Alexander trial just proved us that women are believed when they actually have evidence and they're actually real victims. The Alexander trial proved women are actually believed. So I do believe she's going to use that angle regardless. If it gets dismissed, there'll be a PR blitz that they're likely already prepared for to go forward with, this is what happens with women. And then if it goes through a trial, like the only benefit she has, which would be the exact same argument in PR that she could use now if it's dismissed. And I don't think she wants to go to court either, honestly. I genuinely don't think she wants to. Is the same one, right? This is what happens for women. We bring it to court, we fight for our rights, we fight for being heard, and we're still dismissed. That's going to be their angle regardless, because I mean, let's be honest, I think she's going to lose. There's no way she can win this. And the animals, thank you for asking. They're doing good. They were very excited about the warm weather. We had like fake spring in Ontario, and we all, animals, humans alike, we get our hopes up when there's fake spring, even though we know second winter is going to be here. We have a snowstorm out. I'm watching, I feel like crying, watching the snowfall after fake spring. So they're a little bit bummed about the colder weather. Luna, for those that are newer to the channel, is one of our rescue horses. Long story about Luna, but she's one of our rescue horses. She's had a rough winter. We think she has, so any of horse people might know, we think she has Cushing's, which is common in elderly horses. So I appreciate the support because this will go towards all of her testing and seeing what's going on with that. And we're going to get her tested. So it's a blood test, and it happens frequently with older horses, but she's getting like skin conditions, not skin conditions, but like we call it rain rot in horses. It's like a bacterial infection. And she's been getting that even from just having a blanket on, which is very common if their immune system's compromised with Cushing's. So we're going to get her tested. But for a girl that's like pushing almost 30, I think she's like late 20s, rescue horse that's had a horrible life, she's doing really well. So we're going to support her in any way that we can to make sure she, maybe we'll set a record on the longest horse to ever live. But yes, they are doing very, very well. Thank you for asking. Do you think Lyman will rule today on Friday the 13th with his food? That would be amazing. That would be such a vibe, ruling on Friday the 13th. I'm here for it. I'm here for it. The decision issued, so getting back to the People article, the decision issued earlier this week by the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit said courts should not dismiss a case based only on the wording of a complaint if evidence has already been gathered during the lawsuit. I need to know what evidence Blake has, because I mean, is it invisible? I've seen some Blake supporters say and use the argument of like, we just haven't seen it yet. We haven't seen the evidence. She's saving it for court. No, that is, I'm not even a lawyer and I know that's not true. We have seen her evidence. We have seen what you can't just like, surprise, and bring, unless you're the TMZ guy in the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial where, pop-up witness shows up all of a sudden, that doesn't, you can't just surprise people and hold it off. Everything we're seeing is what she has, which is literally nothing. So I would love to know what they're trying to get at with the evidence. I feel like this is liar territory. And they're at a place where the evidence Justin Baldoni has and the Wayfair parties have is just so bad for their case, sir. And that's why we need you to not dismiss our case, because the evidence that Justin Baldoni has is so harmful for us. It's so harmful because it proves we're lying liars who lie. So therefore, do not dismiss. Do not dismiss. Makes no sense. It genuinely makes no sense. Quoting the ruling, Lively 38, imagine being this sad and miserable and a horrible person at 38. Attorneys wrote that dismissing a complaint at that stage would hardly serve the efficient or just resolution of disputes if evidence collected during the case may be enough to support the claims. Girl, we've been waiting. I'm going gray, quite literally waiting to see the evidence. I've gotten gray hair waiting. That's how long we've been at this. I still haven't seen it. Oh, thank you so much for the support for Luna. Hope she does better. Oh my gosh, I appreciate that. I'll get updates for you guys. I usually put behind the scenes stuff on Instagram, but I'll make more of a habit for those that aren't on Instagram, putting updates over on YouTube as well. I appreciate that. She's a gem. I was involved in her rescue. What would it be? 12, 13 years ago now. Helped place her in a sanctuary. She got removed from that sanctuary. I followed her whole life. I promised her one day I'd get a farm. I'd bring her home. And sure enough, when we got the farm and started our farm animal sanctuary, I tracked her down and brought her home. She's just a gem. She's been through a lot. All right, where were we? Baldoni, 42, and other defendants have asked the judge to throw out Lively's claims through a series of legal motions, including a request for summary judgment, a step that asks the court to decide the case based on the evidence already gathered rather than sending it to trial. Blake, but their evidence is so bad for our case. It's so bad for us. She's like this. Whew. She's sweating. 38, she might be going through the perimenopause sweats as well, she's running a little bit warm these days because she's got to realize, and all of them on her team have got to realize that they have nothing. How do you genuinely, in good faith, look at what Blake has and be like, yeah, this is a case? Like I said, all Blake has done is expose shady shit for other people. She's given evidence to other people's cases, not her own. That is quite a feat. That's spectacular. Maybe she's good at something. I don't know. All right. But Blake Lively's lawyers, we're going on a lot of side quests today. Blake Lively's lawyers argue the case should move forward and be evaluated using the full record of evidence developed during the lawsuit. What evidence? People has reached out to both Baldoni and Lively's representatives. The filing is the latest development in the ongoing legal dispute between Lively and Baldoni tied to their work on the film It Ends With Us. I feel so bad for Justin. Being an ADHDer and seeing, but this would be hard for anyone, but the rumination and the guilt that the brain of an ADHDer can put on the person, I'm just glad he has great people around him, his faith, and very obviously get support for his ADHD as well, because that guilt and that rumination over what the fuck, why? If I just had not done X, then I wouldn't be at Y or Z. Even when you know it's not true and you're not to blame, the ADHD, the neurospicy brain, can do crazy shit. People in chat are saying Blake was denied sanctions against Freeman. What? I was going to go to Costco, then looked out the window. Ontario weather is wild. Yeah, I hear you on that. I hear you. We have a showing tomorrow at the house, and it's a winter wonderland again. I wanted to cry. So bad out. Oh, perfect. Found it. Lively sanctions denied. Let me see if it's posted on the docket yet. Oh, there you go. Let's pull it up. Just posted. Here we go. Plaintiff Blake Lively moves pursuant to New York Professional Conduct Rule 3.6 and federal rule. You guys were saying, what if he makes these rulings on Friday the 13th? I mean, on this timeline and this timeline that we're in, it just makes sense. It just makes sense. Let's be honest. So it looks like you're right. Guys, pat on the back for everyone in the chat that were predicting that he would give responses today. So she's denied. All right. So this is in regards to the order. Wait. Plaintiff Blake Lively moves pursuant to New York Professional Conduct Rule 3.6 and Federal Rule of Civil Procedure 16F for an order granting sanctions against Brian Freeman, counsel for the Wayfair parties. Plaintiff asserts that Freeman should be sanctioned for making extrajudicial statements commenting upon her character and credibility that will have a substantial likelihood of material prejudicing the adjudicative proceedings in this matter. It's funny how she can smear the shit out of Justin, and that's not going to impact the jury. That's not going to impact a verdict, but no one else can say anything about her. The statements were made between 8 and 11 months before the then scheduled trial date in this matter, assuming without deciding that Freeman's statements were not protected by the safe harbor provision in Rule 3.6D. Plaintiff has not shown that those statements given when they were made are substantially likely to prejudice any adjudicative proceedings in this case. Accordingly, the motion is denied. There you go. Doesn't it feel good? If you didn't love Friday the 13th yet, what a day. Hug your black cats today. What a day to be alive. Blake's on a PR blitz. Oh, I wonder if that's also why she's on the PR blitz. I wonder if she knew this was coming. That might also be why she's flooding the zone. I bet she knew this was coming, the denial. So Blake was denied. There's not going to be sanctions against Brian Freeman. And then if we go over back, let's see if there's any updates. Okay, here. Yeah, see, within the last 13 hours, she's basically flooding the zone, allegedly. There we go. Yeah. Leo's got me, allegedly. Oh my goodness. As an aside, Leo, I had a nightmare last night that the house was haunted. So thank you for that. From yesterday's live saying the dog was barking at a ghost. I had nightmares about the house being haunted. So Blake Lively fights against Baldoni's request to dismiss. This is just flooding the zone. But let's see if... I don't think it would this quick. Yeah, no. Not up yet. Oh, this is... Blake Lively launches final attack against Justin Baldoni as trial nears. I'm here for that. Yeah, but this is all... It's not a coincidence that within, hours of the court document going up, that Blake Lively had articles coming out, and now everyone's repeating it. What does this one say? Blake Lively launches final attack against Justin Baldoni as trial nears. Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni's legal drama reaches final stages ahead of trial in May. Blake Lively has fired a new bullet against Justin Baldoni, and their It Ends With Us trial looms closer after they failed to reach a settlement. So it's just saying the exact same thing, but interesting headline. It is an attack. Whether that article is pro Blake or just, it is an attack. Absolutely. Yeah, nothing yet. So there you go. You can also tell Blakey's PR because there's articles ready to go for her PR immediately. And when it's something that doesn't go in her favor, funny, right? It's funny how every single news media outlet doesn't pick it up. Funny how they seem to be watching the docket so closely that when she files that filing about this new ruling and how her case shouldn't be dismissed. Well, it's funny how all of these news outlets seem to be following, or we should believe, we're led to believe that they're organically following the docket, and they're following it so closely to flood the zone right after she files something. But when something doesn't go in her favor, suddenly what? They're not watching the docket? Legacy media is dead. Legacy media is dead. I'm so sick of it. Sick of it. And I mean, anyone, I guess, can be sketchy on any platform. Doesn't just have to be legacy media, but it's pay to play, man. And I'm just sick of how it's so obvious when you can see the pieces. And I really hope this channel helps you guys see the pieces. I think I just need to come to terms with the fact that there's going to be people, and I don't judge anyone for that, that don't want to see the pieces unless it fits a certain narrative. But I do hope that this channel overall achieves its goal of helping you put together the pieces where you're gonna be like, oh, interesting. So that filing goes up, and within hours, there's hundreds of articles flooding the zone of Blake Lively goes after Justin Baldoni and says that it should not be dismissed. I believe, in my opinion, this is also setting up her PR if it is dismissed, because they're going to have all of these articles already saying, look, we addressed this. This wasn't a fair dismissal. This is egregious behavior. It's whatever, right? They've already set the stage of what they're going to say. So not only have they set the stage, but they have the flood the zone right now in case anything bad comes out, which today she was denied sanctions. Her team would have loved to run with headlines that she was approved for sanctions against Brian Freeman. I mean, they were probably just salivating over being able to run the headlines that she was approved for sanctions against Brian Freeman. They probably already had that shit written out. Ryan was sitting there writing that shit out, and it was sitting in his draft folder. Remember, they were like accusing Justin Baldoni of having email draft folders. I'm like, who thinks of this shit? The only people that think of this shit are people that are doing it themselves. The only people that think of someone having a nefarious email account with draft folders for this clandestine smear campaign are people that are doing that shit. So you damn well know Ryan's been sitting there and putting all these draft emails in this fake ass I love Ryan at gmail.com email account he has, that he's put all of these drafts ready to go to send out to all the platforms so that they could run with Blake was approved for sanctions against Brian Freeman. Well, there you go, assholes. You weren't, you were denied. And in my opinion, you're going to continue to be denied. I think you guys have two options. Ryan, your option is to divorce her and get far away to save any semblance of anything you have and just be like, hey, I'm taking the position that she was my wife. I believed her. What are you talking about? I didn't write any of that shit. That was all her. And Blake, your only chance at this point is to divorce him and write a tell-all about him and Taylor. I mean, I would buy it, though. I would buy it. I'd buy that. Would you guys buy that tell-all? I would buy the tell-all. I would buy it. But you damn well know Ryan's sitting there in his I love Ryan, Ryan's the best email at gmail.com, filling up that draft folder to flood the zone. Well, good. I'm glad you assholes are getting a taste of your own medicine. And this is hard for me to say because I'm going to be honest, I was a Ryan fan. I mean, I wasn't like a Ryan stan or anything. Like I'm going to say it. I liked the first Deadpool. I liked some of his stuff. Like I grew up in the age of like Van Wilder and shit. I liked some of his stuff, but I admired him for his work at the Children's Hospital in Canada. And the Children's Hospital he works with is in Toronto. And I would see all the work he did without the media there, without any PR around it. I would see that. And I genuinely liked the guy. I thought Blake was just his wife. I genuinely didn't know the difference between like the OC, Gossip Girl, and Gilmore Girls. It wasn't my niche that I watched. I didn't really know her other than being Met Gala princess. I loved her dresses at the Met Gala. I thought she looked beautiful, and Ryan's wife. But I did like Ryan. And then, he subpoenas me. I'd ask to borrow it. That's a legit option as well. Waiting till it goes to your local thrift store or something. Have Ryan pay you to not release your book because you talked about him and his secret relationship. Yeah, he probably would pay good money for that. You guys would be shocked. Or probably not, actually. This channel, you guys wouldn't be shocked at the amount of stuff that gets, like, book-wise, expose-wise, that gets put together and squashed because it's such a big name and that person's lawyer stepped in and it never sees the light of day. I knew something that was big that was supposed to come out about a singer in 2025, and it just like just went away. No one ever saw it. Yeah, I was a Ryan fan also. See, Rose is Wild. It's not just me that. It's just trouble is with habitually lying narcissists. You wouldn't know what to believe in a tell-all book. If anything, that's why I never buy it. Yeah, I mean, the funny thing with Blake is a lot of what she said, not everything. I mean, she lies about her kid's birthday. It was just weird. It's just weird. They lie about stupid shit. But a lot of what she said in the marketing of It Ends With Us has come true. Like, she called out Tay-Tay. She called out Taylor. It was like she was there every step of the way. And Taylor came out and was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I was not involved at all. And everyone was like, Blake is a liar. Blake is a liar. See, Taylor wasn't involved at all. And then we get these text messages and like basically Taylor came up with all of these ideas for everything. And Blake was like, thank God I have a friend that thinks like the Roman Empire to help me take someone down. And people were like, oh shit. Blake was actually telling the truth there. Yeah, thank you, Leo. If you guys wanted to support the Farm Animal Sanctuary, there's a link there. And then this hat actually and the sweater are both available on the merch store. So that link is there as well. All right, guys. So that's what, oh God, we've got more. Taylor Swift's entering the scene again. She's not happy. Taylor Swift reportedly struggles with her emotions about Blake. Oh my God. Those two have just got to give it up. They've got to give it up. I think they're still besties. Genuinely think they're still besties. They've got to give it up. All right. That's all I have for you guys today. I'm going to pull up. Yeah, nothing under Justin Baldoni on Google yet. It'll be interesting. I hope someone runs with the fact that she got denied the sanctions. You know, the reality in a situation like this, it's very rare the media is picking it up organically. Someone's feeding it to them. So I hope someone on his team is feeding that to them and be like, hey, girl, hey, look what was posted. Let's run a story on this. Because Justin deserves good press. He deserves some wins in the media. And a lot of people have said, you know, it's his faith. He doesn't want to go after her. And I respect that a lot. And there's no reason to completely be buried by these psychopaths. There's no reason for it. Doesn't mean you have to smear her. Doesn't mean you have to attack her personally. But I don't see anything wrong with Justin running a PR campaign. Now, in the beginning, and we talked about this in the beginning, Blake would always be like, Darvo and Abuser's Playbook every time he would do anything, even if it was just like innocent, right? There was like nothing bad about what he was saying. But she's out here running around about Darvo and Abuser's Playbook. You know, I think the tides have turned enough that I can't see her pulling that. I think the tides have turned enough that wouldn't be her response. And he deserves to have a PR response. He deserves to have his voice out there. And he deserves for winnings on the court docket that he's had to also be heard. Because we all know that she's going straight over to people on speed dial or all in the same draft folder of iloveryan@gmail.com. They're all in the same draft folder because they're all deflecting, projecting. They're the biggest projectors in the world. What they do. So come on, Justin. We got you. We got your back. If you want to hit back against these crazies, we got your back. You deserve the win. Thank you so much, MDR. My black cat is yes, you do have a black cat. So cute. As a fan kitty of Steve Sarowitz. That's a smart kitty. That's a very smart black cat. I love black cats. Did you guys know that there is like black dog, black cat syndrome in rescues? So if you are ever looking to rescue a cat or rescue a dog, there's a huge animal crisis across North America, probably across the world, to be honest. And black cats and black dogs or black animals in general are the least likely to be adopted and the most likely, because of that, to be added to euthanasia lists. And euthanasia lists are just getting bigger and bigger by the week, especially in California and Texas. Two worst places for euthanasia lists and animals just running out of time due to space. So if you are looking to adopt a black cat, a black bunny, Black dog, black guinea pig, right up your alley. Give them a home. Hello, Kimmy. It's so nice to see you. Thank you for stopping by. All right, my friends. He will needs to go after Ari Manuel. Yes, someone needs to take down Ari. Someone needs to take down Ari. It's about time. It's about time for him to go down. He's a piece of work as well. Black cats are the best. They are. We have Panther, very original name, but Panther is one of our cats in the feral cat colony, which is actually a lot of the cats that started out in our feral cat colony are now basically domestic. Like they cuddle with us. They're like pets. But Panther he runs the farm. Panther. He decides who's allowed in the cat colony. He monitors the cat colony. He helps us with chores. He follows us around the property. They are the best. I have a stray black cat and he's so cute. Oh, I made him Black Panther and he knows his name. Well, there you go. I have a panther as well. That's so funny. Yes, black dogs too. I thought it was just black cats that had trouble being adopted because of the black cat superstition. No, it's actually black dogs too. Black dog curse happens as well. And it's sad because they're great animals. Like it's heartbreaking that just the color of an animal means that they're not being adopted. For dogs as well, you'll tend to find like boring colors that stick around. So even like tan colors don't get adopted very quickly. Have you heard the Jed Wallace leaked audio? Is this a new one or is that the older one? Is there another one? I heard one a while ago. See, I'm not a Jed fan. I'll see if I can find it. And then maybe tomorrow I can't stream. Like I said, I was hoping to do a members only tomorrow, but we have this showing. Actually, we have to clean. I have to clean. Actually, you stay focused. You have to clean. But maybe I'll have a look at it and play it on Sunday for the members only. Because I do want to do a members only live this weekend on the Hollywood Reporter. Oh, well, I will pull it up and we will play it over on the weekend and I'll post it as well. Hey, Ash, did you hear that Blake Lively's attorneys are not being paid? What? But her, and that is why they are so desperate for this motion to get fees paid. Well, that doesn't surprise me. I wouldn't even be shocked if Ryan was like, girl, good luck. You're on your own. I wouldn't even be shocked. All right, guys. With that said, I do need to get some stuff done. I have a lot around the house to do before we have the showing tomorrow. So hopefully, fingers crossed, hold the vibes, send all the jingles that the house sells quick. We are pending sale of our house, are going to be moving across the country. So send all the jingles, hold all the vibes tomorrow. Don't worry. All of the animals are coming with us. Yes, we are even packing up the feral cat colony. Kid you not, we are packing up the feral cat colony. They're going to move with us across the country because no family member left behind. No family member left behind. But yes, send all the jingles and I can't wait to show you guys the new property. I'll even make a travel series of us going across the country, which will be like, the funny farm. Oh, Julia's here. Hi, Jules. No, you can't steal my hat. My hair's really bad under it. No, you can't. It says Julia. You can't. All right, sweetie. Okay, guys, it was so nice hanging out with you. I will see members on Sunday. Otherwise, I will see you guys on Monday before the dogs take everything down. I'm going to let you go, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.